There's 40. It's 55. And we're looking for 80. There's 80. Keeping it straight. Let's get the nose up. 300 feet. Let's get the landing lights off. And we'll start taking a right turn out. Remember, right one only when you're climbing. That's a nice climb. I can see why people go to Shoreham now. That's a beautiful, like, exit out of the airfield. That's lovely, that is. Right, let's keep the climb going. Remember, you pitch for airspeed. Throttle controls your altitude. Bad Piggy, thank you for 11 months. Tom Thor, thank you for 2. It's one of the key things that you have to, like, get your head around when you first start flying, because remember, we're climbing to 2800 as well. In a car, if you want to go faster, you put your foot on the throttle, right? And the problem is that people get in a plane and they think, oh, if I want to go faster, I just put more throttle in. That's not how it works. In a plane, if you want to change your speed, you pitch the nose. So my airspeed here, if I want to go faster, I just put the nose down, right? And gravity is going to do the rest of it. If I want to slow down, I pull the nose up, and guess what? Gravity's going to do the rest of it. So it's really important to understand that your pitch controls the airspeed, not your throttle. Right, on a left turn, keep climbing. So at this point, if this was real, I would be thinking to myself, if my engine fails right now, where am I going? Yeah. And right now, I'm thinking there's golf courses, there's massive fields, I'm going over there. If my engine fails, I'm going to turn right now. Next thing you're thinking is the airspeed. Yeah, and you have to do this. If you do a PPL, you have to do this stuff called practice forced landing. And you will have to immediately trim for best glide. So you need to know what the best glide of your plane is, and you trim for it straight away. On this, that's 65. So you immediately shove the nose to get 65. If I happen to be going 80 when my engine fails, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the stick up and get more height until I get to 65, and then I'm going to start descending at 65. And that might steal me an extra 100 feet. Yeah, that's more energy I just got for free. So you trim for 65, look around, start picking where you're going to go. That's like literally what you have to go through a process. Yeah, if your engine fails muffins, you're going to be gliding. It's exactly what you're going to be doing. I haven't yet floating Fat Man, no. Isn't it important to maintain your altitude, Captain Philip? In what respect? You can't maintain altitude with engine out. Yeah. What you do is, if you're going along like this kind of speed and your engine fails, you may as well convert your speed into altitude. Get some free altitude by just pull the nose up, and so you climb, get to 65, and then trim for 65. Look for a field, aim for it. Next thing you're going to do is start working out what went wrong. Yeah, you're going to be looking for the obvious things. You're going to be looking for like fuel, and this is a classic on like a PA-28. You have a left and a right tank, and you have to remember to alternate the tanks. Yeah, but some parts forget, don't do checklists. They'll drain out everything out of one tank on a long journey, and then the engine will die. Yeah, and what all it was they didn't switch over the tanks. So you're gonna look for your magnetos, like on both. You're gonna be looking for like your fuses are popped out. You're gonna be looking for the fuel down here. If you've got carb heat, you're gonna pull that. You're gonna try and get the engine going again. If you can't, look outside. Remember where the wind's coming from and start picking a field again as you're descending down. Then you're going to start squawking 7700, talk to somebody, unless you've already got a squawk code and you're talking to somebody already, in which case you just say Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. But that's the general kind of process that you're going through. Right, what we're coming up on Bognor Regis. It doesn't switch automatically between tanks, no, Rizzy. On the PA28, there's a wheel here, and it has 3 positions: off, left, and right. And you need to remember to alternate between the 2 as part of your routing en route. You don't do that in a Cessna, because what a Cessna does is it has 2 overhead tanks, which then combine and gravity feed down into the engine. So you don't need a fuel pump, and you don't need to switch tanks. You just have it on both, and you're fine. You can't do that on a PA28 Warrior. Yeah, you can't feed both at the same time. It's just a quirk of the plane. Like, all planes are different. Oh, look at that down there. Golf course. Alright, so now we're getting a winch launch below 2,500 feet. So that's the glider site that we wanted to stay above. So we're fine. As long as we're at this altitude, we're fine. But it doesn't mean to say you're safe, because gliders get launched to 2,500. But if it's active, they're in the area, so you still need to keep your eyes out to make sure you don't fly into a glider. And always remember, they have right of way over you. Spatial, thank you, 21. See if we can see it, actually. What are the odds? The odds that I don't want to roll. See if we can see the glider site. Lost a bit of altitude, let's get it back. Okay, we're trimmed out there. So that is Bognor Regis, blimey. Is it close to how real Britain looks, Muffins? Very, very much so. Nerdy Drew, thank you for 27 months. The scenery, this is Orbeck's True Earth scenery that we're looking at here. Right, so we've got the It's not a restricted area, it's a warning about bird sanctuary, but it only goes up to 500 feet. But if it's a bird sanctuary, it might be something we can see. It's probably this here. Plymouth Reliant, thank you for 56 months. Vulcan, how you doing, sir? What, graphics mod, Ronald? I'm not using a graphics mod. Try a loop. Do you know anything about planes, sir? Relaxing Saturday. You're not racing today, then? You're just having a chill day. Not a bad idea. Nah, I'm just on my standard 27-inch Vulcan. Not on my triples. Like, the only problem I have with using my triples, Vulcan, is, like, I'd have to give up all the stuff I can read here, but I'll be looking at things that nobody can see. Which isn't so bad for racing, but if I'm, like, flying, pointing things out, and then going, oh yeah, you can't see that. That view. What would happen if you do a loop in a Cessna? You wouldn't really be able to. And even if you managed to pull it off, you'd either stall or break the airframe, most likely. It's not, it just can't take those kind of forces. I wish I had the ultra wide to fly with Kagurus. Do you know what the really depressing thing, Kagurus, is? I sent that monitor back that I reviewed. Did you know this, Balkan? You know that screen I had? That huge 49-inch curved Asus beauty. I had to send that back, and I sent it off. The courier picked it up. There was only 2 of them in the country at the time, 2 of them, and I had 1. And I said to them, can I keep it pretty please? And they were like, nope, it needs to go to somebody else to review. The courier took it. It never made it to destination. It got smashed. It got smashed. If it had stayed here, that's karma. If it had stayed here, I'd have had that. And it got broken en route. I'm like, no. Somebody had to insure that for 1,000. Ouch. Blimey, I didn't realise how much kind of like estuaries there were here. That's a lovely screen. And like, I was the first one to open it. Like, when I opened that in the video, that was me opening it, breaking the seal. I was the first one to open it. I was the only person to use it. Yeah, they're out a lot more now, Balkan, but I think they're in the UK now as well. Just back then, when I got it for review, there was literally quite new. Cracking monitor. Yeah, I didn't realise how much water there was here coming into land. Look at that. There's Portsmouth Harbour over there. Blimey. You're just blown away by the curve when you saw it in the store. You try to show these things on the video, but it's not always easy. So looking at this, like, you can see the Isle of Wight there, but the reality is that if I wanted, like, you got to be thinking engine out over here. Can I glide? Maybe. Maybe I'll just stay a bit closer to land or climb higher. You couldn't justify paying for less screen coming from triples. I get that. It is super convenient though. Just having one seamless screen is super convenient. Yeah, nerdy. It's all to do with the only livery I could get that works properly. You know, I think if I was doing this IRL, I'd probably go to 4 or 5k at this point. Just give myself a lot of gliding room. No, ultra wides don't, like, they work okay for streaming. You can just capture the middle section with OBS. You can make it work. But it's where do you put your chat and that kind of thing. You fly closer to Portsmouth. We could do, yeah. There's no kind of major restrictions over there. Why, you want to see Portsmouth a bit? I did float up, but not anymore. Well, I have 2 more up there, but they're for streaming. They're like auxiliary screens. What do you mean by a stationary capture of VR? Tom Sunday, thank you very much for 53 months, Tom. Another month goes by. So this is Portsmouth. There's another bird sanctuary off our right wing there. Capture doesn't move with head tracking. Ah, see. Wouldn't that require you to generate 2 images though? One for the capture and one for your VR? Because you'd need a fixed image plus whatever you're doing with your head. Like if I'm looking over here and you want it to capture that, you need to have like a second render. Right, so Portsmouth. Pretty big. Do you get motion sit watching? Because I get that as well. We've got a no-fly zone dead ahead. Should be alright to do this. Is that Portsmouth Stadium down there? Is where all the docks are, look, you can see all the cranes and stuff. Yeah, stranded deep in VR, that would make you sick. It's not so bad when you get a raft though. That is some serious detail down there, look at that. That's amazing. Naval Dockyard. It's just incredible. Do you know what? I remember taking ferries to the Isle of Wight when I was a kid. When you're up in a plane, it just doesn't look very far away at all, does it? That is stunning detail. Wait, look at that cop car down there. You see it? Oh, you can't see it. Hang on. There's a cop car here. Going crazy. There he is. Just there. Watch, he just goes in and he just bouncing back at like 100 miles an hour. That is actually quite cool. Actually 10 out of 10 that is. Right, I need to focus a little bit. Head down towards Binstead. Start descending down there, I think. Grab a cup of molten tea. Hello, dear. Any chance I can have that in about 10 minutes when I've landed, because that would be awesomely convenient then. Whereas right now, it's not. Thank you. Oh. She brought in my tea. Looks like I've got fish cake and rice. Yeah, Audi, I tell you before, it's just really annoying about the airfoil lamps. It's the sound bug that has been there for years, they've never fixed it. Right, we're at the Isle of Wight, and I'm going to just descend down to 2,000, I think. Mailbox Motley. I don't believe so, no. Right, so we're going to overfly 2,000. Southwest side of the runway, we'll overfly that bit. Let's get visual first. You really want fish cake now, my friends. Dude, don't blame me. Mr. Squirrel did that to you, not me. Oh boy. Attention seekers. Oh boy. Apparently you're not approved to fly and eat in real life just when you're driving, but we all still do it. Right, I believe that's the airfield right there. So we want to be on this side of it. Overfly, turn left. While we're descending, we've got the landing lights on. Brakes, carriage mixture is rich, fuel's good. T's and P's are all good, fuel quantity is sufficient. Harness secure and stuff. You're from near Norwich, St Helens, Lancashire, Northern. Right, so that's the upwind. Wow, the texturing on the cliff edge looks a bit weird.
Glider launching 2 miles ahead.
Glider launch in 1.8 nautical. That'll be fine. Right. Up for 65 now. I have to say, this doesn't seem to glide quite as well as the real one. Right, check the approach, make your turn into final. Yeah, this doesn't behave like a real Cessna on this bit. A real Cessna generates more lift than this. That was rough. It's really weird, like, the plane I'm used to flying generates way more lift than this does. So it's kind of catching me out, because as I turn onto base, I have to give it, like, way more throttle to just get the same amount of lift. It's kind of odd. They don't seem to have taxiways as such here. I'll do that. Bit of a rough landing, but we'll take it. We can walk away from it.
The engine seems ideally primed.
Well, we made it in one piece. Somewhat lacking in facilities, yeah. I think this is default X-plane Sandown. Be nice if Orbex did one for this, actually. Where was my phone? Yeah, that was a nice little flight over over Portsmouth. It's quite crazy to see the detail of Portsmouth. We need to work out where we're going to go to next, though. But anyway, we made it. So we're down here in the Isle of Wight now. And got a lot of airspace here. Blimey, look at this. 3,500 feet. Because now we've got Southampton and Bournemouth airfields, which both have Class Delta airspace around them. I don't think I've got... I don't know if Alderney is covered, Kean. I don't know if... Is Alderney covered by Orbx? The Orbx True Earth? I have no clue. No clue if Alderney's covered. Mr. Hank, double twitch baby, 18 months, 3 semesters, 6 quarters, and a lot of days. Thank you, Mr. Hank. Black Falcon, welcome back. We could go over to maybe Exeter way. Right, for now, Mrs. Squirrel's back with my food. So I'm just going to turn that off for a sec. Wait, what? That's not a fish cake.
No, and that's not sweet chili. It's
You what, mate?
pepper sauce. Hot sauce.
You've put hot chili sauce. What is this?
It's like Nando's hot sauce, chili sauce.
Is that chicken? Fair enough. Oh, I just thought it was fish cake.
Yeah, okay, alright. Mock my food.
I'm not mocking your food. I'm just saying I was expecting something
Carrots
else.
have got hickory smoke to them as well.
What?
Good.
You burned some. Bait and switch, I like it. Does anybody know if Orbex True Earth South covers Alderney, Jersey and Guernsey or not? I'm kind of thinking it doesn't, but I really don't know. See, we could fly west. No, I am happy with Chef's Cooking Bob. I thought I saw a fish cake. So I was expecting a fish cake and then was surprised when I didn't get one. Let's see what other Orbex airfields I've got. Cardiff, Southampton, they're a bit big. Popham? Where's Popham? Goodwood? Goodwood's not far, isn't it? Actually, isn't Goodwood back there somewhere? Oh, the Goodwood's back there, yeah. I don't know where Popham, EGHP. EGHP. Oh, that's there. That's north of Southampton. We could go to Popham Airfield. What else have we got? Shoreham we just did. Stapleford. Stapleford's back in Manchester area, isn't it? Stapleford's like up here somewhere. There. There's Stapleford. That's quite a monster flight, that one. Channel Islands are not included. Fair enough. I didn't actually have thought they would be, to be honest.
Welcome back, Nutter.
Elstree Aerodrome. That's in northwest London, I think. Yeah, there's Elstree. Dunk as well, where's that? Down there. Oh, there's Dunk as well. What's so special about Dunkswell? Exeter seems like a decent one. I don't know what the default scenery is like down there for it. They will release a separate products based on Earth simulation assets. Got you. Well, they probably do North France with it, won't they? I'm surprised there's no airfield at Weymouth. What's this one here? Yeovilton? Yeovilton? Are they any good? Compton Abbots, that name rings a bell. Isn't Newquay up in Wales, though? It's a bit far. Devon. Is that actually in Devon? Blimey. Almost looks like Cornwall. That'd be a bit of a trek, though. That's like an hour and 44. You're right. That's a bit far. As long as you stay under 3,500, you can go underneath this shelf here. However, yeah. So you can actually head through the... You can see the shelf at the bottom, though. Popham has a great approach in real life. Flew there a few years ago. You make a curved approach over an arrow for 2.6. So, if we flew... Wow, look at this area here. Surface to 15,000 feet. Oh my god. Active on weekdays. Oh, that's okay. We're on a weekend. We can fly through that. Danger area, Plymouth military. Active on weekdays. Right, we don't care about that because it's weekend. So we could do that. Go to Weymouth. Oh, we're going to go to Torquay. And then I think we should have a look at Plymouth. Let's see what this is. Active by NOTAM. We'll assume it's not been NOTAM'd. Cool. Oh, that's good. So we're going to go to Weymouth. We're going to cut across the water here. Or we can actually fly the coast. It's probably more interesting if you fly the coast. Let's do that. We don't need much scenery in the water. Yeah, I went to Weymouth many years ago. All right, Klishnikov. However, I think we need to refuel. And therein lies the problem. Can't actually get that menu back for our 4 labs. That looks like a vague taxiway. Yeah, but I can't refuel at all, Tom, unless I can get the menu up for the R4 labs. I don't know if anybody knows how to bring it up, but it's not in here. Like, there's normally a thing here that you just click on the left of the screen, and it pops in a menu, and it's just not there. Right, I'm just going to nip for a very quick bio break and then we'll get going. So I shall be back in a second. Ready. Eyes back. Bonk. Right, let's get this thing zoomed down. Should do it. Just hope we've got enough fuel. We should have 2 hours. We've got like half a tank. It's probably enough for 2 and a bit hours. So in theory, we're okay. We'll have to lean it out a bit. It's about 24 gallons in total. I think it burns about 8 an hour. So yeah, we should have enough. Right, beacon light, come on.
The engine seems ideally primed.
You what? Good job, Earthfall Labs. Pressure's up. Well, it looks like it's a bit windy. Don't know, Goon Boy. Right, skill flying, explain. Right, so we're going to backtrack, go back up there, go out of 2-3, climb to no more than 3,500. Probably go to 3 actually. Then we don't break any space. $7,000 standby. Altitude. So we go We'll go 3. I'm going to use the AP for some of this time. I've been hand flying it so far, but we'll take the strain off a little bit. Right, let's get moving. I wonder what Sandown actually looks like in real life. Man, this is bumpy. Wow, American truck in the Isle of Wight, that's amazing. When you're about to land again, can you explain landing in detail? Okay, I'll do my best, but I'm generally quite busy when I'm landing, but I'll try and talk you through what I'm doing. Now, Ruben. Not really much in the way of grass markings here. Difficult to see where we're meant to go.
Happy anniversary, Nutter.
Right, transponder to altitude. Left lights, landing lights.
Runway 23.
How do you never get in the air while flying? Is stressful? There are times when there can be a lot to do in the cockpit, yeah. If you're flying through some like busy airspace, you know, you've got to watch you don't break restrictions, you've got to pay attention to what ATC is telling you to do, you've got to fly the plane. I mean, the golden rule is aviate, navigate, communicate in that order. So aviate, you always fly the plane. First and foremost, you always fly the plane. If ATC is bugging you about something and you need to fly the plane, you literally ignore them. Just fly the plane. Navigate, look where you're going, where you're meant to be going. You're going to bust any airspace. Have you hit any altitude restriction? And then communicate. Talk to ATC, talk to people. In that order. Right, 7,000, 3,000 altitude set. Let's check the barrow. So the compass. Alright, GPS done. Okay. Shall we leave? How do you set up the barometer in the Cessna? On this particular plane, it's on the left, it's in metric if you like, and on the right, imperial. So if you're in America, you're going to be flying on this. If you're in Europe, you're going to be on this. And you just spin this wheel here. set the barrow to whatever the barrow is meant to be,
Oh,
local
yeah,
pressure,
yeah.
and then the altimeter reads, and there's a secondary one over here. There's a standby one here. Mr. Lamperbout, attention, VR is dangerous. After 4 hours with my new Rift S, I was so impressed I didn't notice the Guardian warning system anymore. I was swinging the arm so hard in a bowling game that in real life I hit the edge of my living room table so hard that I broke my thumb. It even needs surgery next week. Ay, 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 Lampenbauer. Holy cow, man. That sounds painful. Ruben, thank you for 11 months. Right, let's go. There's 40 knots. There's 50. 55. We're looking for 70 climb out, 78 climb out, sorry. 78 is our best climb. Some power lines here, look. Start right turning. And while we're doing that, flick off the landing light. First time you broke a bone. It's not fun, is it? Right, I want to get some altitude before we start crossing the water.
And driving 3.5 miles ahead.
I'll have to turn right a bit, avoid that gliding site. You broke a bone in your elbow, Yoshi. Yikes. There's a glider site down there somewhere. Whip bell, there it is. That's fine, we're well clear of that. So there's a mast here ahead of us, but we've got enough altitude to clear it now. So we're going to try and get 3,000 out of this. So when you get near your altitude, like here, when you're climbing, when you get to 3,000, you push the nose down to get you 3,000 like that, and then you hold it and you let the airspeed build up, and then you trim, shove the trim forward like that. And then as the airspeed builds up, the RPM builds up, and you want to back off on the throttle to get your cruise RPM. And then what you can do is you can actually lean the mixture a bit. So, just save some fuel. Spin that heading bug around. Yes, I've tried ETS and ATS and VR. There you go. So if you lean the mixture out, you get a lower fuel flow, but you've just got to watch the EGT. And that'll save quite a bit of fuel. Generally speaking, when you fly like a... when you hire a plane from a school, they don't want you messing around with mixtures. They're quite happy for you to burn more fuel. Because the problem is people forget to like adjust the mixture properly. Blimey, the Isle of Wight is just basically full of fields, isn't it? I'm not sure that I'd actually like to live on a little island like this. I bet everything becomes more expensive, doesn't it? Kirby, on the ground, yes, but in the air, generally not. It tends to blacken them a little bit, but because your mixture's a bit too rich, isn't it? You got more fuel than air. Like, your mixture's wrong. So, yeah, it can do. Roadmaster. Been lurking for a while of the streams. Thank you, dude. Thank you for half a year. Alright, so... you see, if you look at the bottom of, like, of the, if you look down here, on the Sky Demon, you can see that blue shelf that goes from 3,500 upwards. And because we're flying at 3,000, we're like just going underneath the shelf by 500. Now, if we went any higher, you would have to speak to the radar to get permission to go through that airspace. Welcome back, Misty. Crusaders, welcome back. So yeah, because we're running a bit light on fuel, lowering our fuel flow is a good idea. So that's brought it down to, what's that, 6 gallons an hour maybe? Considering we've got that many left, we've got about 2 hours of fuel. It's one thing I would love in the plane I fly is some kind of an autopilot, like some kind of a wing leveler, just to take the load off. That'd be so nice. You know, I never realised that the southwest part is actually the western part. Oh, this is the Needles. I've actually been here, actually. As a kid, I went to the Needles. I didn't really know what it was when I was a kid. But it looks like the White Cliffs of Dover. It's known as the Needles though, because at the end here there's like spiky bits of rock where it's been worn away from the mainland. But yeah, I was like, I don't know, 8 I think when I last came here. What's interesting is look at that though, how far that comes out. It's called Henningsbury Head, and it's a VRP, that one. Oh no, it's not. Tell a lie. It's called Hurst Point. And apparently there's Hurst Castle is there somewhere, and that's Hurst Point. That is a VRP as well. Oh, yeah, there's the Needles. You see those spiky bits there? How cool is that? That's a VRP as well, the Needles visual reference point. So ATC, when you talk to ATC, and they're giving you directions, so you're entering their control airspace or you're leaving it, they'll often give you VRPs as like waypoints. Think of them as like on the map, there's specific points on the map where they can send you to. They know where it is, you can find it because it's very visual. Yeah, if they say I don't know, if they say report what was it called, Hurst Point, report Hurst Point, it means fly to Hurst Point, and when you get there, tell them you're there. Yeah, it's a specific place they can give you, and you can easily find it visually. You learned about Hurst Point in geography. The stuck out of sand is the sea as a spit. Well, there you go. Now you've seen it in a sim. Ooh. There's Tam O'Shanter in his cruise ship. Yeah, if I was doing this IRL, I would not do this. Because right now, engine failure, we're going to struggle to make that. And the problem is, I can't go higher than 3.5. So if I was doing this IRL, I would hug the coastline a bit more. I would actually come along there. That there is Henningsbury Head. That bit. Do they have maps like what's in the corner of your screen, IRL Roadmaster? You must carry one of these. You have to have one of these. Let me see it better. There you go. That is my... I actually bought this a couple of weeks ago because it's 2019 edition. That is my map, and you can see... let's get the right way up. There you go. That's Southend. Remember when we started the stream and we went from Earl's Cone, which is up here somewhere. We went down to Southend and then went south. You basically have this with you, and you have to, plot, what you do is you plot your route out. 1 second. This is folded up, by the way. This is actually a map of the whole of UK. And folding it up is a skill that you just have to learn. But yeah, what you see on Sky Demon here is basically the same as what is on that. It's the CAA standard. And what you do is when you've decided on your route, you plot it out on the map, because if you're in the plane and your tablet fails or your GPS fails or whatever, your last resort is going to be that map. Yeah. That's the truth. That's a fact. So you have to be able to navigate using a map and a compass and a timepiece. And that's why they teach you the old school methods before you start using, electronics are great, but you've got to understand that stuff fails.